So, as I've repeated ad nauseum at this point, I think we need to stop this squabbling around and fighting over and, fucking one another over for, or trying to extort or trying to monopolise the drugs trade or the oil economy or this sort of nonsense. Because what we're really doing in doing so is forsaking the real destiny of our species and our real future for petty squabbles and fights over a relative pittance, just scraps, basically, and trying to make, dirty money on dirty little deals and concocting dirty little pieces of legislation like the International Opium Convention to make drugs illegal, raise their price per unit, and so on and so forth. And making huge amounts of money by our standards, but nothing compared to what we could be making. And if we figure out how to build these huge factories employing 3D printing and creating enormous rockets out of, say, hemp plastic or hemp plastic polymers enriched with, I don't know, carbon fibre nanotubes or something, and launching these huge machines into space. I mean, I'm imagining rockets the size of skyscrapers, the sorts of things that aluminium would never be able to aspire to as a material used in rockets. And what we could be looking at is a future in which the use of aluminium is extraordinarily crude by the standards of what we're actually capable of doing with plastic. And Henry Ford knew this in the 1910s with the Model T. He was building out of hemp plastic. Is stronger than steel. Some people exaggerate, I think, by saying it's 10 times stronger than steel. I doubt it is 10 times stronger than steel. It is most certainly about as strong as steel, I think. It is certainly stronger than aluminium. Aluminium, if you build a rocket the size of a skyscraper, would collapse under its own weight. With hemp fibre plastic, I don't think it would. I think we could build really enormous machines. That's my intuition on the subject, anyway. And if we can do that, well, we can start mining asteroids. Move out to the asteroid belt, gathering rare earth metals from there, and then our potential with solar and the gathering of lithium, say, it might be absolutely unlimited. And we'll move to a solar economy. We'll be building solar arrays in space, and we could be, within generations, moving our civilization to a different stage. And we could be moving on to a different stage of human civilization. And moving beyond these petty squabbles on the ground over a little bit of natural resources that we can dig up out of the earth in, say, Ukraine, a little bit of grubby shale oil here, there and everywhere, a bit more oil digging out of the ground, or some conflict in the Middle East over that, or some conflict in a different part of the Middle East over the illegal heroin trade. And it ought not to matter anyway, because hopefully in a couple of generations some scientist will really figure out chemical 3D printing, and then really all this drug money business will be over, and then it'll be over for good. It really should be over for good anyway, because to ban any green plant is against the Abrahamic, a basic tenet of the Abrahamic faiths. It's in the Torah that God grants us that, along with the right to eat animals following the Great Flood. This is tedium. It's tedious having to deal with people just scrabbling around and squabbling over little bits of money, and not building and dreaming and really being adventurous. A few people are. Elon Musk is like this. He's saying that, no, we need to go to Mars. My personal intuition is actually we need to go further than Mars. We need to go see Jupiter. And we need to be psychologically prepared to be able to see that planet up close. And that will involve, I imagine, quite a bit of taking psilocybin mushrooms. Which, of course, isn't exactly covered in the Bible, so the prohibition against psilocybin mushrooms is sort of moves on a cultural level in the West. I'd say that it is permissible under sort of the green plants model of thinking, since back then, especially the authors of the Bible probably wouldn't delineate mushrooms from plants. I wouldn't have said I don't think their biology or botany or mycology was sophisticated enough to allow them to do that quite. And furthermore, there weren't really any fungi of many kinds growing in the Middle East. So there's that. However, the prohibition against cannabis is, to my culture at least, my Christian faith, my Christian culture, it is deeply offensive to me. And it is, well, it is, yeah, it's against my religion. It's an infraction against my religious freedoms. And it betrays a horrible and vile and venal self-contradiction within our legal system. And it betrays our arrogance and hypocrisy. Yeah, just nothing more than a little petty fight over a bit of fucking money. Ugh. Compared to, like, what's available on asteroids. Who only knows? Solar rays in space, Dyson spheres, maybe one day even. Yeah. I used to think that sort of thing was impossible as well. I think really that sort of thing is quite a while away. But possibly just hundreds of years. Think of that. And if we're going out to Jupiter, of course we'll be visiting the moons of Jupiter. No, when we landed on Jupiter itself, because you couldn't, but we'll be visiting like Europa. And, well, Europa's the moon of Jupiter, the most interesting thing. Ganymede and Callisto. I mean, yeah, why not? Why not do this? A new exploration, like why go to the South Pole? You know, why be Ernest Shackleton going to the South Pole? To see if we can do it, to test ourselves, to push and to try hard at something, and to take a risk. You know, like loads of people like squabble and grousel around about sound investments and returns and this, that, and the other, but you know, you don't, or you even pay a human cost by putting your armies into foreign countries over natural resources, I suspect likely with Vladimir Putin in Ukraine, and enfranchise Russia into it. Of course, enfranchise Russia into this sort of enterprise. And I've been speaking recently about federating the entire Northern Hemisphere, a federation of sovereign nations that extends around the Earth, and we all cooperate, we communicate, and we don't fight one another. We remain friendly and on good terms. And yes, enfranchise Russia into NATO. That'd be a good step towards achieving that political objective. And given like Russia's supreme pedigree in space travel and their pioneering attitude, it'd be offensive not to involve them in this. You know, and like the only reason we win is just mere xenophobia. Yeah, nothing more than that. And it's just a hang up from like the Cold War days. I'm afraid of socialism, which is something we obviously have here in the West, and we're utter hypocrites. We have a public school system, which is a means of production, which was publicly owned. We have publicly owned roads. Granted, America would have publicly owned hospitals, would have public libraries, have the police, have fire department. That's all socialist. All government departments. For fuck's sake. Someone takes out your trash, you got US mail. Socialism. Sorry. Well, no, I'm not fucking sorry, but come on, this is too much. This is too important. It's too important to miss. You know, for like a bit of gas, you can have all the fucking petroleum you ever need from hemp. But really from cannabis, because it's got a big buds on it, got more plant mass. You know, low-grade cannabis for fuel. Bang, as they call it in India. Ganja, medical uses possibly, and just like to have a plant in your house to smoke. If you want. Like, yeah, I mean, deregulate entirely, I'd suggest. The Uruguayan model, very, very good. Pretty good. Really quite good. And that vice chairman's flouting a little blatantly with the Uruguayan president by smoking weed in his garden. Flouting the Uruguayan law itself. And I don't think the vice chairman was Uruguayan, so he actually wouldn't be allowed to do it. He's, well, not a tourist, but a journalist. There's only Uruguayan citizens allowed to do it. But anyway, it's not it's not the point. We must do this. There's always a push forward. Always. You know, look to the next bit of the horizon. See, can we get there? Yeah, we have no choice. Otherwise, we'll suffer on this planet. We'll stagnate, and nothing will progress. You know, Jupiter, that is the new South Pole. I say skip Mars for now. Focus on Jupiter. Well, maybe get to Mars first. I imagine in time Mars becoming a sort of way station between, frankly, well, Earth and Jupiter, really like the more distant gas giants. And then when we're exploring the Oort cloud, and we've got troubles over possibly water in the future. Well, guess what the Oort cloud is made out of? Comets, i.e. ice. So that might not be such a worry in the future also. We have to. Otherwise we'll just blow one another up. And we'll kill each other. And Putin will just get too restless and too irritable. And we have to satisfy him with, I reckon, fixing his country, frankly, because after the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union collapsed in on itself, it was just like, well, it's not our problem really to help you out. We've just been sort of battling proxy wars with you for, well, decades, and having a space race, and sort of having like bitter enmity between us, trading spies, and trying to like fuck them over in all sorts of ways, economically and politically. But oh, you collapsed, or you lost. Oh, well, bye. So it's not our fault you lost at all. So yeah, franchise Russia. We must do this. That's probably the first step. And you know, like, get that shite off their streets. That crocodile. It's a nightmare drug. It's caused by draconian drug policies, which, in fairness to Russia, they didn't start it, did they? Was it French, British, and American pharmaceutical companies by any chance? Yeah, I think it might have been, with you filching those trademarks of the Treaty of Versailles for morphine, heroin, and cocaine. And then eventually making marijuana illegal in the Dangerous Drugs Act of 1920 in Great Britain. And this is aspirin, paracetamol, and ibuprofen. Yeah, whatever. Little bits of money. William Randolph Hearst wanted to like make his bit of bank in the States by fucking over the hemp paper industry, and it just served us well for, well, hundreds of years, if not thousands. And I've got this old medical book on my shelf. It's from the mid-19th century. That will be printed on hemp paper, not tree paper. And that decision has led to the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest. Almost certainly. And practically the paper in every other fucking book I own, more or less. Which is a bit of a shame, I have to say, because I do love books. But I would like to see them printed on hemp once again, if I'm brutally honest. As starting a publishing company, just to digress quickly, I would probably insist in the future on printing my books on hemp, just to make a point. But it'd make them rather expensive at current, hemp prices. So, we must do this. It's too important not to do it. And if you don't want to do it, if you think like some like really not even Christian bigotry is standing in the way of it all, because it's there in Genesis, 8:5 verse 9, as I've already given you every green plant. Just to reiterate, this is anti-Christian bigotry. This is satanic. It reflects satanic ambition, which always results in miserable failure. And that's what we encountered in the 20th century with the deaths of, in excess of 100 million people in the 2 world wars. Russia suffered enormous casualties. They, as ever, pay the biggest cost. And they still do. So we're going to fucking reward them, their people, with hopefully something brilliant in the future. And we must unite with them. We can't muster the political will in yourselves to do that. And continue xenophobically treating them as an enemy state. As opposed to like sort of a state that's suffering under the resource curse and a lack of political will in the West to enfranchise Russia in Western enterprises and reignite Russian industry, give people jobs, give people good jobs, science jobs, technical jobs, engineering jobs, pharmacology, everything. That's what we must do. I must get our asses into space For fuck's sake. Thank you, I think I made my point. Thank you, bye. Why wouldn't we? China, that denies our space and heritage. They will not like it. You're implied to your research, so you're that one. Incorporate China into the Northern Federation, but they are in the Northern Hemisphere. Go on then.